get your point across about something you're very passionate about. Speech is the obvious way to do that. Or perhaps you could, I don't know, maybe write a song, perhaps a poem, or a well-crafted book. Well, my special guest today chose the unusual method of total silence to tell the world what he wanted to say, and he did it for 365 days. Wow, I'm glad that period of abstaining from talking has passed, otherwise this could be a really short and boring interview. 28-year-old Sydney peace activist James Aspey joins me in the studio. Thanks for your time today, mate.
Thanks for having me here, Peter.
Big drive down from Coburn today.
Oh, a long, hot drive.
Mate, it's good to have you in the studio.
Thank you.
Before we find out why you decided not to talk for 12 months, which is an extraordinary feat, maybe we can go back to when you were 17. You had leukemia. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was really healthy when I was diagnosed with leukemia, so I thought. And, you know, it was a big shock. And I was sick for the next few years on chemotherapy. I put on about 25 kilos in that time. I had pneumonia, and you know, I was on death's door quite a few times there. So it was a really rough time. I was very sick, lost all my hair, just all the usual stuff you go through when you've got cancer and when you go through chemo. But I was very lucky because I got into remission, and you know, here I am today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great story.
Yeah.
It's amazing what can come from adversity. Do you put that particular time as a pivotal moment in your life that got you to where you are now?
I think that because I'd never suffered before, I'd never had an experience of what it was like to suffer, you know, really, because we're all so lucky generally in our privileged society of always having enough food to eat, always having enough water to drink, shelter, a comfortable bed. It was the first time I really suffered quite badly, and I think that gave me an insight into what that was like, and from then on I went on to, you know, help other people out of their suffering through personal training and health coaching, and that led me on to, you know, well, bigger and better things, I guess.
Where did the idea come from of being silent for 365 days? You just had enough of talking, or what?
No, it was obviously I love to talk. I had an idea when I was doing a 10-day Vipassana meditation course, which is a 10-day silent meditation. You meditate 10 hours a day for 10 days, and on the 5th day, I just had this idea, you know, wow, because you don't talk there, sorry, for 10 days
sure,
as well.
Yeah.
So I had this idea, maybe I could not speak for a year, you know. But I realised I had to do it for a reason, for a cause, or else people would think I'd lost it.
Yep.
And, you know, I was newly passionate about helping animals, and, you know, I just realised about the suffering they go through, the unnecessary suffering they go through. So I decided to do it for them, to raise awareness for animals.
Did you grow up on a farm or around animals? Where did that love and passion come from?
It wasn't even a love for animals. You know, I was never an animal lover. I never really cared much for animals at all. I'd never been around any animals that are farmed. The only animal I'd been around really was my dog, who I didn't even really have a close connection with. So it wasn't necessarily about a deep love for animals and wanting to help them because of that feeling. It was more of a sense of justice for animals. And you know, I'd always believed that we needed to consume animal products to survive and be healthy. And being a personal trainer for 8 years in the health industry, I was shocked when I learned that not only can we survive and thrive without consuming animal products, but we're likely to be far healthier and reduce our chances of obesity and cancer and diabetes and osteoporosis and heart disease and all these things. And this is all just happened in a moment for me where I realised all this kind of stuff. And then I thought, well, if we don't need to kill and eat animals to survive and be healthy, what are we doing this to them for? And that's where I realised, well, you know, I'm not a huge animal lover or anything, but I know injustice when I see it.
Sure, yeah.
And if the reason we're doing this is just because we like how they taste and we're putting them through this treatment and taking their lives for that reason, then, you know, being someone who is aware of this now, I felt compelled to do something about it.
We had two very good reasons, didn't you? That one, and of course the fact that you were a personal developer and could see, I guess, the negative impact on that kind of diet. Did you discover through that the less meat you ate, the healthier you felt?
I decided I would take I would go vegetarian for a week after meeting a man who suggested it to me, who I respected very much.
Mm.
And 3 days in, I was feeling so much better. I was feeling so much more energy. I was pushing more out in the gym, and that was the opposite to what I expected. You know, we've got this stereotype of the vegetarian, weak, sickly, can't get out of bed. That's what I expected to happen, but I just did it as a personal experiment, and I was shocked how much better I felt in just a few days from cutting flesh from my diet. And soon later, I realized it's not just about flesh or being vegetarian, but all the ways that we treat animals or use animals is wrong, and I want it to be consistent with my stance that animal abuse is wrong and unnecessary animal exploitation happens in the meat industry, the dairy industry, the egg industry, leather, wool, all these things. So that's when I decided to become vegan, which means not consuming any animal products or supporting animal exploitation as far as practically possible.
Look, I agree with the difference in eating. I used to live on a commune going back to the 70s. I'm a little bit older than you. And everything was organic, and that we were totally vegetarian. And I mean, after a couple of years, we moved back to Perth. I remember eating meat again for the first time. I could feel it going through my body. I could feel almost the fat slowing me down. It was really quite extraordinary. I never experienced anything like. Yeah, you could actually notice the impact. That didn't last long with me, but I've been very conscious of that, and we are more conscious, I guess, these days of veganism and vegetarians, of course, because of a lot of the stuff we see on Facebook. We're constantly seeing YouTube videos on how animals are treated throughout the world. Do you think we're getting somewhere? You're having a win?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, how can this last forever? How can this injustice last forever? If you ask 100 people if they're against animal cruelty, 99 or maybe even 100 of them are going to tell you, yes, I absolutely hate animal cruelty. And it's that the thing that we have on our side is that, well, everyone hates animal cruelty, and it's so easy not to participate in it. But every single time you purchase an animal product, you are paying someone to mutilate and kill animals for you. So as soon as you decide that you want to live consistently with your belief that animal cruelty is wrong, you become vegan. And I think you don't need to shove it down anyone's throat or change anyone's mind about it. All you need to do is inspire someone to live consistently with that belief that they already have.
Present the evidence.
Yeah, just the facts, because a lot of people don't realize that, you know, that you can live without consuming animal products, or that we can still eat burgers and ice cream and chocolate and curries and so much amazing food, just the vegan version of it, the cruelty-free version, so easily.
So before you went on your 365-day silent year, which was, as I said before, an incredible feat, you must have done some publicity and made people aware why you were going to do that, and how difficult was it to be silent for a year?
Well, you would think I promoted it well, because it was a big feat, but no, it was kind of just all on me. You know, no one really knew I was doing it. I was too nervous actually to go on radio or something and talk about it. You know, I didn't have all the answers. I was just a brand new vegan. I went vegan the day that I took my vow of silence, so I didn't have all the answers to, you know, what about free range, what about humanely slaughtered animals, what about this, what about that? And I was a bit nervous to go on radio, and so I just promoted it through Facebook and as best I could on social media. And but eventually that, you know, that built up quite a lot to, you know, a certain amount of thousands of people following the journey. And in terms of, was it challenging to do the vow of silence for a year? It was really fun for about a month, because it was like a novelty, and, you know, every person I come into contact with, they wanted to know why I was voiceless, and I was playing charades constantly. But it actually got harder and harder and harder as the months went on, rather than easier, which is what I was expecting and hoping for. And I got to the point at about the 6-month mark where I just couldn't wait for it to be over. I was tired of being misunderstood. I had so much to say. It was really challenging. And but the positive was that, apart from it being like a stunt where, you know, it could draw anyone in, you don't need to care about animals to be intrigued by a vow of silence for a year. So there was that positive thing about it, but also every single person that came into contact with me last year wanted to know, why are you voiceless? Why are you playing charades with me? And I was able to give them a card or a DVD or, you know, something with my website, or even have a conversation you know, by writing it down or them reading my lips. So it actually brought the conversation up every single person I came into contact with, which was a very effective way to spread the message, surprisingly.
Just between you and I, because no one else is listening, you can be totally honest with me. Did you just slip up at all? Did you like kick your toe and go, bugger, or something?
Between you and me, I slipped up about 5 or 6 times.
Yep.
Although it wasn't at times like that. There was one time I was lying on a beach with someone and we were kind of cuddling, and I was there for about 10 minutes where I felt like there was something in between us, like between my stomach and this person's back. And I thought it was just the wind. It was a really windy day, but after a while I was like, there's something going on here, and I kind of pushed her away and I saw there was a tiger snake.
Whoa.
A tiger snake right in between us.
That'd do it.
You would think so. But I pushed her away and I jumped back and I somehow kept my mouth shut, probably out of shock. So there was times like that. But then there was times where I just wake up in the morning, and because you haven't really thought about it yet, you know, you haven't thought that, okay, I'm taking a vow of silence, you know, you have to keep it in your head all of the time. And when you first wake up, you just stretch and it's not on your mind. And I'd wake up and I'd say hi to someone, go, what's happening, man? And then just, oh no, you know, cover my hands over my face. There was another time I fell asleep at Perth Airport, actually, right at midnight. And the airport was packed when I was there, and I thought I'd just rest my eyes. I fell asleep, and when I woke up, there's someone going, James, James, you know, and I look around the airports, there's no one left, you know. She said, you're going to miss your plane. And I kind of just groggily woke up. I'm like, oh, sorry, so sorry, where am I going? And then I started walking and I went, uh-oh. So about 5 or 6 times, but I never deliberately spoke, not one word for the entire year.
So on the back of that, you're touring around Australia. In fact, you're going to be in Waroona this weekend. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, well, since then, it's actually been amazing because it's given me a voice much more powerful than I could have ever expected. You know, people want to hear the story. Why did I take a vow of silence? What happened? And so I've been going around the country talking about my journey, spreading the message. And I do that for free. I just want the truth to be told. And this weekend I'll be at Greener Pastures Sanctuary, which is at Waroona, and I'll be talking at 11:30 just a bit about my journey and some of the things I learned along the way.
Let's just pretend, for instance, we're down the pub having a yarn. I don't know anything about you, and I'll order myself a big hamburger, and you don't, and we get into this conversation. What would be the one thing you would say to me, the reason why you think, if I asked you why I shouldn't be eating something like a hamburger, what's your single message to people listening?
Well, I would say that our fundamental core values as humans are that of kindness and peace and justice and respect for others. If you saw me attacking or abusing an animal, I'm sure you would do something about it. You would hate to see that happening to this innocent individual. And every time you purchase an animal product, you're going directly against your own fundamental core values of respect and kindness and peace. And I would say, for your sake and for that victim's sake, that you can live in alignment with those values. By becoming vegan, you can stop your participation in horrific animal cruelty and killing, and it's so unnecessary. I would ask you, why would you want to eat that burger when you can eat something else equally delicious, more healthy, and nobody has to die for it?
Good answer. You just put me off the hamburger, which I guess was the answer.
I'll get you a veggie burger when we go out for that.
Mate, I used to have great veggie burgers in Margaret River. They don't sell them there anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, good stuff.
There's some good stuff out there, mate.
Mate, are you coming down to Mandurah or around this area as a part of your tour throughout Australia, or do we know of any dates? Don't know.
Oh, honestly, I could be. I don't know. I just kind of go. I look at my schedule for a week in advance, and I'm booked out for the year of doing talks. But I'll come anywhere and talk.
Brilliant.
You know, I'm happy to spread the message, and that's what I've kind of dedicated to this entire year. So yeah, if there's someone that would like to book me to come and do a talk, I'd be happy to. Like I said, it costs nothing.
Yep.
And yeah, I'd love to come and spread the message.
Good stuff. You're on Facebook, no doubt. Under what? What's the title of your Facebook page?
My Facebook page is James Aspey Activism.
Yep.
And I'm on Instagram, James Aspey, and then jamesaspey.com.au is my website.
A lot of vegans on Facebook, you know, one of those annoying ones that keeps yelling at everyone and judging everyone, are you? And getting
Good question. I personally think, you know, I remind myself of 3 quotes that helped me very much, because I used to be a little bit judgy and a little bit angry. And now I try to remind myself that I was there just a couple of years ago. You know, vegans get like that because we're passionate. We know how bad it is for these animals. We want to help them out of their suffering. And a lot of people think the best way is to blame and shame. But I think don't blame and shame, inform and explain. That's the best thing. You don't need to lie. You don't need to yell. The truth is powerful enough. And I remember, so don't blame and shame, inform and explain. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Most people don't even think about it when they purchase an animal product, what they are actually paying to have done to an animal. Yeah. And the last quote is, hate the sin, love the sinner. I remember all that when I try to remember all that when I speak to people, and just come from a place of kindness, because I think that's the best way to reach the most amount of people, and that's what it's all about.
Good stuff. Great talking to you. Nice to meet you.
You as well, Peter. Thanks very much.
Enjoy the rest of your tour while you're in around WA. Probably going to a few country outlets, no doubt.
Yeah,
Nice
I hope so. I'll go anywhere. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on.
Pleasure, mate. Cheers.
Thank you.